Hello. I was writing an email asking for stuff to stop happening, but my internet went out. So what's up? Banking stuff. You have probably heard about this already, but Silicon Valley Bank has failed, and that's not okay for the tech industry. Essentially what happened is the bank did an oopsie whoopsie with their investments, and then people tried to take money out of the bank because Peter Thiel told them to, and the bank didn't have the money. And then they failed. The broad picture here is that tech VCs kind of seemingly did this to get a lot of money, specifically Peter Thiel. Fuck Peter Thiel. Anyway, there is both not a bailout and also going to be a bailout, kind of. They're not gonna save the bank for the people who invested, like, the bank. Banks are weird. Okay, so like there's the people who own assets to make the bank run, and then there's the people who are depositing assets into the bank. Okay, so the depositors are being bailed out. They're gonna have their money assured by the FDIC beyond the $250K actual FDIC insurance stuff. But the actual people who like messed around with the bank's money, they're not gonna get their money back necessarily. Money's fake. Long story short, there was fears that people weren't going to be able to get their paychecks because their money was tied up in this bank. That is probably not going to happen anymore because the FDIC is stepping in. Also, taxpayers are not going to cover this bailout. Instead, the bailout is coming from some fund that I don't understand. If you want actual information about banking and finance stuff, go watch everything that Kyla Scanlon does because she's amazing. Also, another bank also got closed. I'm gonna stop talking about money now. I'm out of my depth. Redeeming myself with talking about AI, the comeback story of a century. So GPT-4, the next iteration in the thing that powers stuff like ChatGPT, is apparently gonna drop this week, or at least we're gonna see it. The big defining feature for it is that it will be multimodal, which is just a fancy way of saying it can do text and video and pictures all at once. So like that's kind of cool, but also reminder, this is still not actually artificial intelligence. It's just a computer trying to optimize a bunch of numbers. You will undoubtedly see people who think that it's sentient and people being like, wow, this is amazing. We've really pushed AI to the next level and it's real and it's conscious and we got to think about that. That's not what's going on here. It's just not. I talk about this a lot more in a private video for patrons, but I'll summarize here that it's not AI. It's just not AI. It's just a computer trying to optimize some problems. We told it like, hey, when you see this, do that. And it's like, okay, but you don't need to worry about the AI robots taking over the world anytime soon. At least not this year. Whoops, wrong Tesla. So a Tesla owner in Canada accidentally unlocked and drove the wrong Tesla using the Tesla app. No one's quite sure how it happened, but they just walked up to a car thinking it was theirs and unlocked it with the app, and then got in and drove it. It wasn't until they were several minutes down the road when they realized some things were not right with the car. Like there was a crack in the windshield they didn't recognize and stuff wasn't where they left it. And eventually they put it together that this wasn't their car. Anyway, it was really no harm, no foul. They kind of like drove it back and had a good laugh with the actual owner, but they tried to reach out to Tesla and be like, hey, there's a bug that lets people unlock the wrong car. But Tesla's inbox was full, and so the email bounced. Daylight savings happened, and that is bullshit. Twitter's new API pricing will cost $42,000 a month at the entry level. So essentially what happened is Elon Musk came along and was like, I don't like having this API here. Let's close it down and then charge exorbitant amounts of money for it and call it enterprise. Whereas before, if you were just messing around with the Twitter API, you could do it for basically free or maybe just a few bucks a month. Now it's going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions a year. Especially if you're trying to build on top of Twitter, it's just cost prohibitive at this point. So, what? Anyway, it's really cool that they're charging a lot more for access to their API, especially because they went down again. Yeah, so you couldn't tweet on Twitter for a while over the weekend, and the only way that you could tweet on Twitter was if you scheduled a tweet. What a real website. Rapid fire. There is a 1 in 560 chance that an asteroid will collide with Earth on Valentine's Day 2046. A New Hampshire state legislator was arrested for yelling at a snowplow truck. A high school student is suing her school and school district and all their administrators because she was accosted for not saying the Pledge of Allegiance in the hallway. Vinyl sales have taken over CDs for the first time in 40 years, and while vinyl is definitely having a moment, I also would say that probably CDs are just not having a moment. Facebook is throwing their hat in the Twitter replacement that nobody asked for ring. Starbucks sold NFTs, because of course they did. Spotify is redesigning their app to make it more like TikTok. And finally, Reddit is shutting down their Clubhouse clone feature, which I didn't really know existed and also forgot that Clubhouse existed. There was also the Oscars, and Everything Everywhere All at Once won a bunch of stuff. There was a lot to cover today, and I didn't get to everything. So sorry if I missed a story you were looking forward to, but I did the best I could. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Stuff Keeps Happening. Head to stuffkeepshappening.online for sources, bonus content, and a full box of tissues. My name is Endeavor, and so I'll be back on Wednesday. Take care and be well.